woman reaches a certain age, when somebody says to her, or her inner critic says, at your age, you shouldn't, you wouldn't, you can't. Well, here on a certain age, we celebrate amazing women who will, who can, and who do amazing things. Today I have Katina Corrao, who is a comedian, and she has discovered a world that once belonged to men. And anyone who's watching those shows like The Amazing Mrs. Maisel know that it's a tough thing to break into, so we're going to learn some of her secrets. Welcome.
How exciting. Thank you so much for having me. This is great.
Well, I'm so excited to meet you and to meet at this great event that we're at today.
Yes.
And I understand you're a comedian, and you have
I am a comedian.
A partner who's a comedian. That's sort of unusual to have somebody who works together.
Yes. So I am a comedian, and I would say about 3 years ago, Kendra Cunningham, who was another comedian, she and I just really loved each other's work, and we were really inspired by each other, and we were both we wanted to come out with a new album, a new comedy album, so we thought, why not join forces and release it together, which is what we did, and we've been having so much fun with it.
So isn't this it's a cutthroat business, isn't it? I mean, can you tell us a little bit about what it was like to become a comedian and be successful at it?
Sure. So for me, I love telling the stories of how I got there, because in many ways I'm still trying to you're always trying to get someplace. I always thought, well, if I booked this commercial, I've arrived. If I did this, I've come out with an album, I've arrived. But you're never really satisfied. You're always wanting to get everything. So I even forget what you asked me, what the question was. But
to tell me about your journey in a cutthroat business, because comedian is a tough business.
It is, and I think at the same time it is definitely cutthroat. It really is unlike any other business, though. I mean, it's like you just want to go and do your best work, and really just focus on your own work. They always say eyes on your own paper. Just, stay focused, get better, get up and perform, and really don't worry so much about where you are. Just hone your craft, and that sounds like a silly thing, but I always feel like once you are confident in what you do and the material that you produce, then it does become less cutthroat, because you're not fighting for the wrong reasons. You're just putting out good work.
Excellent. Now, how'd you start? Were you just born funny?
I was so funny when I was younger. No. No, I was actually very shy. Yes. I was actually really shy when I was younger, but I always knew I was theatrical. I always wanted to cry too much, but I always wanted to be an actor, an actress, and so I grew up doing musicals and theater, and then after college I studied at the American Conservatory Theater, which was a theater school, and then I moved to New York, and I just started doing plays and little one-person shows, and then that kind of gradually went to stand-up. So I didn't really set out to do stand-up, but it was such a great way to get my work out there and to perform, meet other comedians, and kind of get in the game, and it was really great.
Awesome. So you started as an actress.
I started as an actress, and I still am an actress, but it's just, I also do stand-up, and I think we were talking about this before. You have to do it all. You have to be a writer, you have to be a comedian, you have to be a stand-up, you have to know improv, a singer, It's sort of like you just do it all and work on it at different times in your career.
Yeah, and how does one do stand-up? Do you write your own material, and if so, where do you get it? Because I think comedy imitates life, right?
It does.
It does. Certain parts of it.
It does. And for me, stand-up was always an exaggeration of who I am. I'm a very nervous person. I'm a very anxious person. I'm always kind of going like this. I'm a germaphobe. I don't like, I don't like other people and germs. No, I'm just kidding. But so I just, notice I didn't hug you. No. So when I first started, I thought, why not just write about that, talk about what you know, what is funny to you. I talked about breakups and audition stories. My favorite audition story is when I was at an audition once and the casting director said, are you here to read for the hooker? And I was like, And then I stopped and I was like, oh my God, you think I could be a hooker? Like I was so excited for the rest of the day. I was like, thank you, you know. So just like funny things that I think are funny and probably way too cheesy, but I love it and I have fun with it. And what I would say the biggest reward for me doing this, because there are so many, when I first started performing, I was terrified because I would go to these clubs and there were comedians up there doing material that was completely different from what I was doing, you know, and they were hilarious, but it was like harder, cursing, maybe a little bit edgier than when I did. And I was so nervous to get on stage and follow them. And I remember the first night I did, I was at the comic strip in New York and I followed someone. And that comedian came up to me and said, oh, I think your stuff is really funny. And it was like, it was just such a breath, I just took a breath because it was like, I can do my own work and not imitate someone else. And it was just really satisfying. And sorry, my answer was just 9 hours long, but.
No, we're good, we have time.
Thank you, good night, everyone. No.
Never work with an animal, a small child,
or a comedian.
Okay, so again, you have that first album.
Yes.
How many albums have you done?
So I did one, and then this is my second album. It's called Less Bitter, More Glitter, and it's with Kendra Cunningham, and she's another amazing comedian.
Well, I have to ask you, who's funnier?
Oh, you know what? That's a good question. Well, she's not here right now. I have gotten so much feedback on how funny I am. No, she is just the best. And really, like I said, she was a comedian who I would see and we became friends, but I just loved her material and I thought she was so funny. And I just thought if I'm going to collaborate with another comedian, this is who it should be. She's the best.
All right, so Less Bitter, More Glitter.
Yes.
Tell me about that and how. So you don't actually work together. You have two separate pieces that are combined on an album.
That's right. Okay. So there's Kendra's tracks and then there's my tracks, and certainly our humor complements each other. But our whole idea about putting this album together was we both had the same approach to comedy, the same sensibility when it comes to what we find is funny. And a lot of it was very good-natured, good-spirited, not bitter. We're not political, which there's great political humor out there. It's not that we're against being political. It's just that it wasn't something that we were tackling for this album. And it's just fun and lighthearted, and people have told us that when they listen to it, it is an escape for them, which is exactly what we were hoping for.
I love it. So now, are you listened to more by women or by men, or is it really gender-free humor?
Well, that's a really great question because you don't know until people tell you, and we're just delighted that people from all walks of life have told us that they enjoy it. So, and that's really satisfying when I can talk about Dress Barn and how sad I was the Dress Barn closed, and have a guy who is in finance or something come up and say, oh, that was hilarious, I related to that. So that's what's so cool about comedy, is that you don't necessarily have to talk, you have to know your audience, but if it's funny, it's funny. And I think everyone can relate to something, even if it's not specifically about you or your life.
But if they just pick up that essence that touches them.
Exactly,
right?
Yes.
So now, again, I'm going to go back to being a cutthroat business a little bit. There are not that many female comedians. Was that an advantage for you or a disadvantage, or neither, when you show up, like you do stand-up? Did you ever do an open mic night? And does it matter? Does gender matter?
No, well, I should start by saying there actually are a lot of female comedians, which is interesting because it's like, being in that field, there really are, but you're right, you sometimes maybe don't hear about all the amazing women who are out there, so that's so great. I feel that certainly there are shows that you do that there are only a few women, at the same time, I really try to surround myself with people who are supportive, whether you're a woman or not a woman. It's like, let's just be supportive and include everyone. And I host a show in New York, a live show called Lasers in the Jungle, and that has really been our philosophy, to get everyone included, no matter what, whether if you're a funny guy, a funny woman, doesn't matter. It's like, we just want to bring the fun together. And that's what I try to do. Even though that does exist, where there's women who are being left out, I try to surround myself with people who are inclusive and just include everyone in that game.
Well, it's great to hear, right? Because I remember an interview with Jamie Foxx.
Yes.
Who was not born Jamie Foxx.
Right.
I can't remember now what his birth name is. But he said the reason he has the name Jamie is because he was doing stand-up. And when you go to open mic night, if you were a woman, you were more likely to get called up because there were no women there.
Isn't that so
he said he would go as Stacy, as Tracy, like as gender-neutral
Wow,
names.
that is really
and
awesome.
And he hit his success as Jamie, so he kept the name Jamie. And
that's
why
amazing.
He has like a gender-neutral name.
That's amazing.
So I didn't know if it had helped or hurt, or
well,
if that wasn't an issue.
To be quite honest, I have not done, and people at all levels of comedy will do open mics. It's not exclusive to just someone who is just starting out. I have actually not done many open mics, but what I did do is I did a lot of what they used to call bringer shows, where you would have to bring, no joke, like 25 people for 5 minutes of stand-up.
Wow.
So in the beginning, you know, I would like bus my family and friends in from home, and I'm like, please just sit here, you know, pay the $20 and 2-drink minimum to see me do 5 minutes of the worst material. So those are the best people in my life. I owe my entire career to them. But yeah, so that was actually really difficult because you had to find these people. And if you didn't have the people, you couldn't perform. So there were a lot of nights where if I had to have 15 people and 9 showed up, I couldn't perform.
I had never heard of that before. I didn't know that existed.
Yes.
Because indeed, any show, the hardest thing is to get butts in seats.
Absolutely.
But
Absolutely.
I didn't realize that it was a 25 guest minimum to get on the stage.
Yes, and I was like, don't you know this material is hilarious? Yeah. Meanwhile, when you first start out, you're just like trying to figure everything out, and yeah, so that was really difficult. That was hard.
So that was the tough part. What has been your a greatest moment of success? Something that was just like, I've made it.
Oh,
Any
that's
wonderful
great.
Moments?
No, no kidding. I'm kidding.
Here we go.
Not yet. No.
No kids, no pets. All right.
No, the great moments
What made
really.
you happy?
Yes, what makes me happy. I will say really just performing live, first of all, is the greatest feeling in the world. Like anytime you can perform live and you get that immediate reaction from the audience, it is the best feeling in the world. To think to yourself, this is something I thought was funny. I went into my room, wrote it down, went over it, and then told it on stage, and people are laughing. It's the greatest thing. I do a lot of TV warm-up. I'm a fill-in for all the TV warm-up shows. And I've had some wonderful male comedians help me, and I'll call them out because they've been incredible to me, and that's what I'm talking about, like finding men and women who are inclusive. Joey Cola, Tom Kelly, these are all comedians who are warm-up comedians, and anytime they can't do a show, they will call me and I'll warm up Rachel Ray or Good Morning America, and it's the coolest job in the world, and that brings me such satisfaction to do that.
All right, so I'm going to take a pause for my next question.
Okay.
Because for people who are on the other side of the camera looking in and watching TV,
yes,
they don't realize that the audience is being worked before the cameras go on.
Right.
How does that work?
It's a great experience, and I'm not just saying this, I have worked with literally some of the best people on TV. Rachel Ray, and Yvette Nicole Brown, who I just worked on a show with, and Good Morning America. So what happens, the audience comes in and I come out and I'm just like, who's excited? And just do my material, get everyone pumped up and energized. And for me, like, that is like performing the best show in New York, and you're just entertaining them. And then when the cameras go on, you're there like keep it up, and you form a relationship with the audience in addition to the hosts. Now, luckily, the hosts are funny themselves and could probably do it without my help, but I love doing it.
The host crashes, right, and they're awful, at least you're there going.
Exactly.
Right?
And the funniest part about it, and talk about like never getting too big for your britches, you're not on TV. So like basically you're like, people are like, can you get out of the way? Yeah, it's like the whole day people are like, get in front, you're not in front of the camera, like just get away. And you're like, oh gosh. But yeah, but that is so much fun. That's so much fun to do, and I have a blast doing it. So
okay, awesome. I love it. But I think, all right, so your first album came out, though. Rumor has it, it did pretty well.
Oh, it did. The first album went to #1 on the iTunes comedy chart.
Right.
Yes, and I was so happy and so excited about that. And we were talking about not getting to, not having a big head.
So how do you not get a big head?
How do you not get? I mean, I was telling people in Bed Bath & Beyond, I'm like, guess what? This is exciting.
Me.
Yeah. They're like, ma'am, move away. Again, like the cameras, get out of the way. And then it was played on the radio, and I was so excited to hear it. And there was a glitch.
That was your big radio debut.
The big radio debut, and I was with my mom, and we pulled over the car, and we went to listen to it, and there was a glitch in the system, so my entire album was played like this. I'm Katina. Like, that's exactly how it was played. So I thought, snap back to reality again. You're right back there doing your bringer show.
Oh my God, that's great. But it puts you in check.
It does. It puts you in check. There have also been, talk about like, I get put in check a lot of times. I was up for a commercial. It's very difficult for me to watch TV now because I'm like, I auditioned for that. Oh, I didn't get that job. I can't believe it. And you audition for things and you think you booked it and you're on hold or whatever. And then the next thing you know, you see it on TV and you're like, well, I guess I didn't get that.
And they never called you.
Right. Like a lot of times you don't get called. You'll just, okay, maybe you'll get released or you don't hear anything, but yeah, so that is always funny.
Seen you? Is there a commercial we've seen that
I have been,
she's the sneezer?
I know, I have been a sneezer on a lot of like commercials, but I've been on Broad City, I've been on the show Deadbeat, HBO, Comedy Central, so I have definitely been around, and just every day is a new opportunity, a new audition, and actors get it. It's like you have a job and then you're looking for your next job. So even actors who are unbelievably successful on sitcoms, it's like once your show gets canceled, you're back to square one. You just have to have that enthusiasm and just love for it. That's the only thing I can think of. It's like you're either crazy or you have such a love for this business that you just can't stop.
Because I've heard that comedy and acting also, it's a career of rejection.
It is.
So talk a little bit about, do you get rejected much and how do you keep going?
Now, I personally have not been rejected a lot. Just kidding. It's so amazing. No.
For the little people.
Yes, but for those of you who have, no. I will say that, people will say that. They'll say it's full of rejection, but until you really go through it, you don't quite understand what that means. So you can be super tough, and when I first moved to New York, I had an advantage that I was completely green and naive, and I think that helps because you just go through things like you wear your pajamas to an audition if you think it's going to make a difference. Like, you have that mindset. And then you become a little savvier, but the rejection, in a weird way, is you don't really think about it because it's just kind of a part of it. I don't know if I'm making sense when I say that, but you go to so many auditions. You go to, if you're lucky, 5 auditions, say, over the span of 2 weeks, or a couple of auditions a week. Most likely you're going to be rejected from them because you have every other actor in New York going for the same audition. So it just becomes part of it, and you don't focus on it that much. And when you do really get knocked down and you think, I did this, I got rejected. I did this, I got rejected. You start creating your own work. And that is really what, if you really want to be in the game, it's like that's what you have to do. That's what I had to do because, you know, I thought, oh, if I audition for this and I get on this sitcom, then I'm set. But when you don't get it, there's nothing left to do but create your own work. And that is such a wonderful feeling because it's like, it makes you stronger and it gives you that satisfaction of like, I really must want to do this because I'm building the house when no one else is giving me a house.
So tell us a little bit about that process, right? Because I think that women who are in comedy or acting or even just going for a job, what's it like going to a cattle call? I mean, where, like you said, every actor in New York is there.
Right.
And I know I've had that feeling going to a job interview. You don't see them in the room with you. Like your experience is unique because
everyone's right. Everyone's in the waiting room and you're just, you know, all we want to do is talk about this flu medicine and we all think that we can sell this, you know, for a commercial audition or whatever. It can be intimidating. And I think until you have that experience of honing your work and knowing who you are, it can be intimidating because you think to yourself, what do they want? Whereas when you're a little more seasoned, you go about it a different way. You think, well, this is what I'm going to bring to the table. This is what my perspective. So it becomes less about, I'm going to do what I think they want and more about, this is my strength and this is how I'm going to do it. Even if the script, it's sort of like, even if the script, and I'm being funny when I say a commercial, I'm saying like if you're really there for a part and you think this person cries, and it says like person cries, and my version of crying is like laughing or a nervous laugh or something, that's my take on it. Right. So I'm not going to feel nervous about doing that because I'm bringing who I am to the part. I feel like I'm talking so long to all your questions, but basically...
No. But no, actually, I like what you're saying because I think women for any kind of job can take something from that, right? That you don't necessarily take to them what you think they want,
right?
But instead you bring your best you.
Exactly.
And then if they want that, they're getting the real thing, right?
That's it. Because, and going back to the commercials, sometimes there's a commercial where the description for what they want is completely vague. It can be male or female. It can be 25 to 60. It can be, you know, all these different things. So you're almost forced to bring who you are to this role because they're not giving you much. It's not like we want A, B, and C. It's very broad. So unless you you have to bring who you are to the audition.
So it's all you've got.
That's all you've got. Yeah.
So I wonder now, talking about women of a certain age, right?
Yes.
I never have a 19-year-old on the show because...
Except me, I'm the first one. That's amazing.
But I think a question that comes out of that is, does it get easier every year to be you? Because I'm thinking, when I was a teenager, right, I was so concerned about what people thought of me.
Right.
Does it get easier? Do you get more confident in yourself with more mileage? Not more years, because I realize you haven't aged.
No, but
mileage.
definitely, absolutely, 1,000%. You, I don't know whether you're just not paying attention to it. I'm sure it exists. I'm sure I was passed up for roles because someone was prettier, thinner, this, that. You almost don't focus on that, and it does become easier. It's like, okay, or you start saying, you start becoming less bitter, not to come back to that, and say, wow, that person was the best part for the role. You know, and my time will come when it's right for me. And it's not about me getting all the work.
Just the best stuff.
Just the best stuff, yeah. Just the stuff where I can, you know, just like retire in a year. No, but you start saying, or I can't tell you how many times I've gotten calls or I've called people where someone said, I got this breakdown for a job and I thought you'd be right for it. That is a person that you want to surround yourself with, because they're confident enough in who they are that they're saying, I'm not right for it, you're right for it. And to take that approach is such a gift, and I hope that I can continue doing that to other actors. You know, I'm not right for this, or, you know, maybe okay, fine, I'll play your mother. No, but you're right for this part, and let's make the best work out there. Let's not let it be just about me or you, or, yeah.
Well, what a great giving spirit you
It
have.
is,
I
it
love
is.
It. But it comes back to you, I guess.
It does come back to you, because it has happened so many times to me. You know, I can't tell you how many times people have, well, not so many times, I'm making it sound like, so every day I'm getting calls, you would be right for this. No, but even as far as getting my agent, someone was like, oh, I'm going to recommend you for that, because you can't really do it. I shouldn't say you can't. You can do it on your own, but it takes a village. And when you are surrounded by people who are good and confident, who want to help you, you're the same way. And maybe it lessens that cutthroat. It's still going to exist, of course, but maybe it's not going to exist so much in your inner circle.
I feel like it's like driving down the road. Do you ever have that if you let somebody in front of you?
Yes.
Those people go, everyone lets me in.
Exactly.
But if you're like, you're not getting in.
Exactly.
Nobody lets you in, right?
That's
so
it.
Your giving is coming back to you.
Yes, and that's actually when Kendra and I first wanted to do the album, or even when I first started doing stand-up. Like I said, I was very nervous. I would think, oh, do I have to be hard and cool, or I can't be cheesy and myself? So you sort of paved the way, and then other people are like, oh, I'm corny too, I'm cheesy too, and that makes me laugh too. Yeah.
All right, so let's now get back to your album real quickly.
Okay,
I want to focus on that. So less bitter, more glitter. Where'd that name come from?
We love sparkles, and we and we always did say that we didn't want our approach to comedy to be bitter, and then the name it was out there, you know, and the name just kind of came about. It just fit. It did.
And where can we get this album?
So really, wherever you download music, iTunes, Pandora, Google Play. So if you go on KatinaCorrao.com or Kendra Cunningham, we have our link there. Awesome. But anywhere you stream comedy.
Awesome. And what is next for you?
Oh, well, let me tell you. There's so many things.
You got 3 minutes to tell me.
Have I used up this whole time? No. I just want to continue performing. I want to continue working. I do tons of voiceovers, writing a book. You know, I have to write a book. Come on, everybody's writing a book. Just all the fun things that come with this. I do a lot of cartoon voices and voiceovers, and just writing and performing, and hoping to get my, you know, be the next, you know, national commercial. Commercials are my thing, if you can't help it. I love commercials, so.
Well, hopefully somebody's going to watch this and go,
I hope so, yes.
She's our hooker.
Yes, please, let me be the hooker, come on.
I love it. So we didn't even get into all this. You've done voiceovers, cartoons.
Yes, and writing and all the fun stuff, yes.
I love it. I love it. This is so great.
Oh, thank you so much.
Do you have another album coming? Is
well,
that in the works too?
That will definitely be in the works at some point, for sure. So we are fresh off. The album's only been out for a week, 2 weeks, 2 weeks.
Brand new.
So we're totally fresh off this album. So we're just having fun with this, and hopefully there's many more to come. Yes.
And are you going to team up again? Do you think you guys work magic
together?
Well,
you know, we've been doing a lot of live shows, so that has been awesome. So from the album, people have been booking us for comedy shows. So we go to the Berkshires next weekend, and then we're going to Chicago and Los Angeles and Boston. So we're just, you know, trying to make the rounds and perform as much as we can together. But yes.
Fantastic.
Yes.
I love it. I love it.
Thank you.
I would want to thank you so much for coming today.
Thank you so much.
Coming to Force for Change. I know
love it.
You are going to be performing here to inspire the women.
Yes.
And I think bringing us a laugh is very inspiring, but also just the stories you told, which other people can learn from, which is if you get knocked down, right?
Just get back up.
But just get back, but give to somebody else.
Give to someone else.
I think that's a new twist on it that I haven't heard before. So
Good.
thank you.
Thank you. It's been such a joy. I appreciate it. Thank you. Now, are we recording?